Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I did this rose gold makeup look on my model Celine, and it's perfect for prom, homecoming events, or if you're attending an event. So if you're interested in this look, please keep on watching. Before I put on foundation, I'm going to put on primer first. Here I'm using Benefit Professional Matte Rescue and Benefit Professional Pro Balm Primer. First, I'm applying the Matte Rescue on areas where she gets most oily, like her T-zone, her forehead, and her chin. I'm using the Sephora blending brush to apply the product onto her skin. Just making sure I pat the product onto the skin so the face actually absorbs it. This makes the makeup last like a really long time. After that, I'll apply the Professional on the same area where we just put the Matte Rescue to get rid of the large pores and to make sure that the makeup glides in smoothly. So for foundation, I'm mixing the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless and the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation. So I'll just apply that all over her face. Just to make sure that the product is well spread out in her skin. Then I will be using my Zoeva 104 buffer brush to blend the product into her skin. So if you're interested in following my model, I will link all the links down below on her social media account. So here for concealer, I'm using the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer, and I'm mixing that with the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. Then I will be applying that onto her forehead, under her eyes, her chin, and her Cupid's bow. Basically, the areas where we want to highlight her skin. Here I'm using the same Sephora brush that I used on the primer to blend in the product into her skin. I'm using a patting motion to make sure that the product is absorbed in the skin to make it look more flawless. And making sure the product is well blended into your skin. We don't want any harsh lines. And now I'm baking her face and basically doing that on the areas where we applied the concealer earlier. We'll just leave that onto her skin for about 5 to 10 minutes. I'm also baking just right above her jaw to make sure that her contour lines later are going to be clean and sharp. Now onto her brows. I'm using the BYS Dip Brow, and I'll be applying that with my MAC 266 brush. I usually start on the outer edge of her brows and just work my way in to make sure that it looks natural. Then I'll just brush that off the inner part with this spoolie, because we don't want any harsh lines, especially in the inner parts of her brows. So now for bronzer, I'm using the Sephora bronzing powder in the shade medium. I'm just applying that on the hollows of her cheek, on the sides of her forehead, and on her jawline as well. Now I'm just gonna get rid of the excess powders, but before that I'm gonna be blending out the powder that I applied earlier. Now onto her eyes, I'm priming her lids with the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. Then I'll just powder it off with the same translucent powder. So for eyeshadow, I'm using the shade Matte Cherry Cordial from my Too Faced Chocolate Chip palette. So we're just going to apply that all over her lids. Starting on the outer corner first, then working my way in. This will also work as a transition shade. Then I'm taking this deep berry shade from the Lustrous BYS line, and it's in the Calypso palette, and layering that on top of the first shadow. Here I'm focusing more on the outer corners of her eyes, just giving it more depth. I'm using a smaller blending brush to be more precise. Now I'm taking this bronzy shade from the same palette, and I'm using a flat shadow brush, and I'll be applying that all over her lids. So I forgot to show you the shade, but for the inner corner, I'm applying a light highlight shade just to open up the eyes a little bit more. Then I'm going back in with the larger blending brush and blending the shadows out to make it more seamless. Then I'm going back to that highlight shade and putting that right in the center of the lid. Just going back again with the blending brush, just making sure everything is very seamless. We do not want any harsh lines. So for this look, I'll be creating a super simple wing. Here I'm using my Kat Von D tattoo liner in Trooper. Here I'm just defining the nose to make it look even more slimmer. I'm using the same powder from the Sephora bronzing powder. Making sure her nose is well blended. We also don't want any harsh lines with that. So going back to the eyes, I'll be applying the same highlight shade in the inner part of her lower lash line. Then I'll just extend the berry shade from the Too Faced palette on her lower lash line. Now I'll just be topping off the brows with the Maybelline Brow Mascara in dark medium. Or wait, dark brown rather. This will keep the mascara in place for hours. So for now, for blush, I'm using the Dandelion blush from Benefit, and I'm just going to apply that on the apples of her cheek. So I realized the Dandelion wasn't really like showing up for her because her skin tone's a little bit darker. I did mix it up with a little bit of the peach blush from the Detail contour palette. So for highlight, I'm using my Tarte Pro Glow in the shade Burst. It's a very nice goldish highlight that really goes well with bronzy skin. So it would really go well on her skin tone or like on darker skin tones. So I'll just apply that on her cheekbone, on her brow bone as well, and some on her cupid's bow. So I did bake her nose earlier, and I'm just getting rid of the excess powder so that I could apply some highlight on the tip of her nose. So my camera did accidentally die, so I had to do her lashes and lips off cam, but for the lips I did use the ColourPop Ultra Satin Liquid Lipstick in the shade FRICKN FRACK. So that's the complete look, you guys. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Bye!